Anthony Fauci, the face of the COVID cult and the person who, one of the many who tried to abolish literally all of your rights during COVID in a matter of months, stood before Congress and got absolutely demolished. One part was a new audio clip between him and one of his colleagues, and it was crazy. Take a look.
You believed an institutional should make it hard for people to live their lives so they'd feel pressured to get vaccinated. Could we run the audio clip on that, please?
You think can be done about it. I have to say that I don't see a big solution other than some sort of mandatory vaccination. I know federal officials don't like to use that term.
Once people feel empowered and protected legally, you are going to have schools, universities, and colleges are going to say, you want to come to this college, buddy? You're going to get vaccinated. Lady, you're going to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Big corporations like Amazon and Facebook and all of those others are going to say, you want to work for us, you get vaccinated. And it's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and they get vaccinated.
Thank you. Are all objections to COVID vaccinations ideological bullshit, Dr. Fauci?
No, they're not, and
Thank
that's
you.
not what I was referring to.
Well,
This was the strategy from the beginning, to make life hell for Americans unless they subjected themselves to the vaccine. And there's two parts to this. One is that the actual vaccine and the science behind it, the way it was rushed, and people's just overall right to not stick themselves with something. That's one side. The other side, though, and what is far more concerning to me, and I think a lot of people, is just how the government was able to manipulate people to do whatever they want. It doesn't matter if it was a vaccine, it doesn't matter if it was a mask, because masks don't have a lot of the negative consequences that a vaccine might or might not. You can wear a mask, nothing really bad is going to happen to you. That's not the problem. The problem is that the government was telling you exactly what to do, and there were literally hundreds of millions of Americans who just went along and did it. All the while, by the way, Anthony Fauci and Congress were taking checks from Moderna and Pfizer. A lot of people don't know this, but in 2022, 2/3 of Congress got money from one of the companies that created the COVID vaccine. Literally 2/3. And of course, it's not just the politicians. You have ESPN and other big media companies running Pfizer ads, over and over and over again. But why I hate this so much is that Anthony Fauci continues to lie. He lied in the beginning. He said things. A lot of them were lies of just not knowing. And instead of just saying, I don't know, for instance, when they talked about transmissibility, they hadn't run the test yet to know if they were transmissible. The Pfizer CEO himself said that there was no test done to determine whether or not the vaccine decreased transmissibility. But then later, when people like UC Davis, for instance, not a very conservative institution, by the way, UC Davis comes out with a study saying there's absolutely no validity to these mRNA vaccines decreasing transmissibility. Also, there were many of those same studies saying that the basic masks that people were wearing didn't, do anything to help you from not getting COVID. He continued to make those lies until today, when he stands before Congress and Congress says, why did you say this? It's wrong. And he says, I never said that. I was always on the side of truth. And he just continues to lie. If he would just come out, say, I was totally wrong. I know, I apologize to the American people. I would still be angry at him, but at least he'd have some leg to stand on. But he continues to gaslight America by just lying. And years later, the people who are right all along, myself, a lot of other people have been saying this all along, that the mRNA vaccine, it didn't decrease transmissibility. Mandates were always bad. And now today people are scratching their heads and like, yeah, why did we do that 4 years ago? But there's never an apology. There's never an acknowledgement that all the people who were told that they were conspiracy theorists for years, saying that, there was a lab leak, which, by the way, full departments of the United States government accept that as fact now. But for a long time, that was seen as a conspiracy theory. Instead of apologizing to those people and maybe giving ear to what they say in the future for other political things, they just continue to gaslight them and they act as if they believed that the whole time. So, unfortunately, he's never going to be prosecuted. It's never going to happen. The problem is not even fully that we had such evil bureaucrats, because that's to be expected in politics. The problem is that Americans are not ready for bureaucrats to be doing those awful things, and that when COVID came around, people just didn't stand up to the government. And so the question is, when something like this happens again, Will the people stand up to the government? And I know there were some people who did it, but for the vast majority, they did not, because they didn't want to be. It was fear-mongering from the beginning. If they went against Anthony Fauci, on the scientific side, they were ousted. They lost their job, so they couldn't do it. If you were a normal person, you were called a conspiracy theorist and a nut if you didn't want to wear a mask in public or if you didn't want to get the jab. And the question is that going to happen again? Or are Americans going to wise up and question the government every single time and look to other sources of truth, not just the truth that comes out of the bureaus and the three-letter agencies? As always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, go down below, subscribe, like, and comment your thoughts on Anthony Fauci's testimony and that call that we just watched. We'll see you next time.